when I was memorizing the Constitution, I didn't have to memorize 5,000 words in one day. All I had to do was 50 words today. The next day, all I had to do was 50 words.
This is Z from Code One Maintenance. I run the A&P school and other aviation certifications out here in Tucson, Arizona. And I'm here with Ron White. He's a two-time U.S. memory champion. He has been very helpful with our, part of the success here at Code One Maintenance. I've been getting a lot of training from him, mentorship, and he's also gone through our books to better help students pass their exams and get some of the concepts down, and to help retain this information as well. And I'll let Ron White, introduce himself, and we can go. We won't take up too much of your time, but want to get some good gold nuggets to help everybody out there who's studying for maybe their military exams or for speeches, or even just doing some certifications at our school. You were also a veteran. Can you talk about a little bit your military background as well?
I served for 8 years and did one deployment to Afghanistan. And then I did what everybody does when they get out of the military, they grow a beard.
Yeah. I tend to trend mine, but it's been it's taken some time to get used to with this the trim and moisturizing. Yeah.
You're taking care of yours, but mine's white, so I'm growing it out for Christmas.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, thank you for your service, Ron. And I don't think 28 is probably still a good age to come in. Have given some other younger guys some wisdom as well. It's definitely much needed. So, like I said before, that one of the reasons why I reached out to you is because I was trying to solve one of my own problems as well. I was a terrible study taker. I don't think I get test anxiety. I'm just terrible at trying to memorize or trying to finding strategies to retain the information, to whether it's just concepts, formulas, or just something. I always wish one of my superpowers would be to memorize stuff, because I think if I would memorize stuff, I can remember stuff, retain the information. I think that's what I was trying to solve, is retain the information. I've read other books on some of the concepts that you teach. And then when you came on a show that a podcast that I watch, some of the concepts you were teaching was also that I've already studied before. And I was like, oh, let me reach out to him and to see if he can help myself, of course. But as I run this school, I see the same issues. I see the same problems that other students have. One of the things they have is like, oh, I'm terrible at study taking. I have test anxiety and things like that. So what I wanted to do is also help them. And honestly, along with what you what you practice, and I've implemented with some of the students who are struggling, they're doing a lot better. I would say since we've last met and working on implementing the some of your concepts, it's greatly improved our students' grades. Just this month, I would say there was around 60 exams taken across 10 students, and only 2 failed. Two tests have failed.
That's great.
And it's just like little things, of course, with their hard work, nothing taken away from the student, but what you teach has been a major factor in these students' success as well. So what I wanted to go on is about preparing for an exam. One of my questions is preparing. Like, what are some of your strategies? Like, say when you first saw our books, how would you prepare for an exam like that?
Well, you got a lot of books, and there's a lot of information in there. And so
yeah.
the first thing that I do when I'm preparing for anything, memorized the United States Constitution last year, or this year, and I did it word for word, 4,543 words.
Oh,
so the first thing that I did when I attacked that, and if I was attacking your project, I would look it over and just like spend a day or at least half a day scanning through it and seeing, okay, how much information is here? You know what I'm saying? So the first thing that I do is I go through the information and I get a feel for how much information that there is. And this will allow me to budget my time, because as I go through the information, I may say to myself, okay, this is a lot, but I already know this, and this. So I already know 25% of it. So now I just got to worry about the 75%. But the first thing I do is get an overview, see how much information there is, see how much information I already know, and then get a plan. How much time is it going to take me to memorize this? After I get a plan, then I use a system known as the Memory Palace or the Mind Palace a lot. And essentially what that is you memorize a map of a building or a blueprint of a building. So, when I memorized the United States Constitution, I could tell by the scope of it, hey, I'm going to need 200 locations numbered to memorize the Constitution. So here's a real quick example of this. Let's say the room that I'm in. Let's say number 1 is the trash can, 2 is Albert Einstein, 3 is my computer, 4 is a light, and 5 is the washer dryer over here. That's 5 in this room. So I'm at number 5 in the next room, 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 5 in my office, 15 or 20 in my office. You know what I'm saying? 20 in my favorite restaurant.
Right.
I might get 100 pieces of furniture numbered. Step number 1, get an overview of the information. Step number 2, I decide how much Mind Palaces I'm going to need. Step number 3, I just start reading the information. And I'll pause here and let you ask a question. I know I just went off and rambling, but
no, it's okay. Go ahead.
Step number 3, I actually start reading the information. So I'll start reading the information, and as I read it, I don't necessarily, the first time here's one thing that I kind of want to back up that I do. I will read the back of the book. I will read the chapter summaries. I will read the table of contents.
Like an outline.
The outline before I start reading the chapter. Because if there are study questions, or if there are chapter summaries, or if there are book summaries or outlines, I read that first, because that tells me what to look for when I'm reading. It tells me what the important thing is. So when I'm reading, that's going to jump out at me. Oh, wow, that's in one of the study questions, or hey, that's in the chapter summary. So I think it's important to read that first. Next, I will just read and take notes, highlight or underline or mark the things that I want to go back and memorize later. And one final thing on this, it's not the final thing, but it's, of this point it is, my goal is always to understand. My goal is not to memorize. My goal is to understand, how it all fits together. So I want to make that clear. I'm not just all about memorizing, but a key in memorizing is visualizing the images. So if number 21 that I need to remember goes with whatever, I will visualize 21 as a picture, which I'll think of a deck of cards or blackjack. If the number is 18, I might think of a military soldier. So I'm turning everything into our brain.
An 18-year-old.
There you go.
Yeah. An 18-year-old coming in. I think the first thought I thought about 18 was Peyton Manning. And just because because I'm a football guy, so I think about stuff like that. Some of the numbers we used we've had guys, I'm trying to remember this regulation, 21, 25, 20, or it was 21, 23, 25. And it was perfect because you talk about, trying to remember the presidents. Number 16, you think about somebody driving with the penny with hands driving because he's a 16th president. Usually what happens to everybody in the United States is that, they can test for their license at 16. So I try to relate those things. Like when it's just regulation number 23, I think about Michael Jordan, and 21 Deion Sanders, or something simple like when because like certain things kind of relate with each other. When you're does regulation 21, you get a new certification or something like that. And it helps kind of like relate to what we're doing and something that everybody else experiences. So everybody knows number 23 is Air Jordan. So
Right.
yeah, that's a good point. That's really helped our students trying to remember numbers with an actual figure, kind of like you were saying.
Yeah, that is important. Whatever you want to remember, see it as a picture. And if you're a sports person, 23 is Michael Jordan, in sports jerseys or whatever it takes,
Right.
learn to see it as a picture.
So preparation is reading through the table of contents, reading the back of the book, reading maybe some notes and things like that before you start actually reading into the material, correct?
Yeah,
And then
the table of contents, I read all that. I kind of get a feel for what I'm supposed to be looking for, and then I might read the chapter once, and I might not even be trying to memorize it. I might just be trying to understand it. Then after I've got it read once, I might go back and read it again, and that time I'm underlining and highlighting. Then I might go back and read it a third time, and that's when I'm actually trying to memorize it. And people say that's a lot of work, but what's a lot of work is failing a test and having to do it all over again. That's a lot of work. Sir Francis Bacon said that he would rather read 10 books this way, the way I'm describing to you, read it once and then read it again and read it again. He'd rather read 10 books that way than 20 books just zooming through them, because you're going to remember more if you kind of slow down. But also, if you slow down and learn something slow, you begin to understand it more. And then the next chapter, guess what? It's going to build on that. So it's probably going to be easier to understand the next chapter if you understand this chapter more. So slow down a little bit, read it a couple times, take notes, visualize it, see it in pictures. And let's go back to this Mind Palace thing really quick. It doesn't apply to everything. It does. No. You're not going to use the Memory Palace for every question or every topic. But there are going to be some topics in your studying that'll say, here are the 5 key things that you need to know about this. And you think, oh, okay, 5 things I need to know about that topic. Well, you got 5 pieces of furniture in this room, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. As images, imagine them around this room. I teach kids how to memorize the presidents of the United States all the time. And I say, let's imagine a washing machine for Washington over here, a dam for Adams here, a chef and a chef for Jefferson right here, medicine for Madison there, and a man in a rowboat for Monroe over there. Washington, Adams, Jefferson, Madison, Monroe. And little kids can memorize it. So this is what your data is going to be more complex than that, but maybe not really. See it as a picture. If you have 5 things about one topic, imagine them in that room. Then when you're taking the test, it says, what are the 5 key things that go with this topic? You'll think, Washington, Adams, Jefferson, Madison, or Monroe, or whatever your bullet points are. But the Mind Palace is a great way to hold data in your mind.
Yeah, it's definitely helped me and the students. I've even set up worst case scenario situations for somebody to kind of use a system to see. Not worst case scenario. I guess then putting the student in the worst case scenario, and then using the system so he can remember.
Right.
Like we were talking about, and I shared a story with everybody else that, I picked a student who, as soon as I got back from one of your sessions from Texas, flew back, got in contact with a friend I'm very close to, but he was going through the course. And he was already frustrated with the course, so much to remember, so much information in a short period of time. And it was late at night. It was around probably close to 11 o'clock at night. He's already worked out, and he's already frustrated, and he's not really a good student. And we were running through the Memory Palace. Yeah, it took a little bit of work to set it up, like you said, but it paid off as soon as he was able to establish that Memory Palace, simple things, things that it was very difficult. Like the electrical portion, to understand some of these concepts and some of the terms, it was very difficult for him, and as it is with a lot of students. So he was trying at the end. I would say within an hour, he wasn't remembering the stuff. Like, and he's, like I said, he wasn't a great student. He wasn't. It was just at the end of the night, after his shift, after working out, he was just not all there. But it was working, and I use it for myself if I'm trying to remember certain concepts and things like that. It's an amazing tool. Like you said, as I experiment with it, it's not, like you said, it's not for everything, not for every topic. But I always tell the students, it's for concepts that you having trouble with, like the electrical portion of it. And as you know, that we've came up with some creative stuff to remember a lot of these topics and concepts that you were exposed to. But the Memory Palace, if it's and to go back a little bit on your Memory Palace concept, it's using the same. It helps to use the same furniture, right?
Well, let's say here, think about this. So when I memorized the United States Constitution, I used about 300 pieces of furniture. We, the people of the United States, was on that location. In order to form a more perfect union was here. Establish justice was here. Ensure domestic tranquility was here. Provide for the common defense was there. And, for example, establish justice, I imagine a judge's gavel, crashing my computer here. So let's say I used 100 pieces of furniture, and I'm only 1/3 of the way through the Constitution. Could I loop back around and use these again, and maybe loop back around? I couldn't, because the Constitution, it's so, each sentence is so similar to the previous sentence. If I tried to use the same furniture, I would confuse the data. So I tell people, if you're studying for one test or one topic or one exam, only use each piece of furniture once for that data. But if it's a different topic and like maybe it's the same exam, but something totally different on the exam, then it might be okay to reuse the furniture. But in general, for an exam, I would tell people to use each location once. So people may say, well, I run out of now hear me out. Let's say you use 100 pieces of furniture for this exam. Well, and then you pass the exam. You got another exam in 2 weeks. Well, then you can reuse the furniture for the new exam. So you do reuse the furniture, but for the exact same exam, I would not use it for more than one data. Use your house, your friend's house, your mom's house, your cousin's house, your favorite restaurant, your favorite sports stadium. You got plenty of places that that you could use.
Okay. So we went over preparation, the Memory Palace. What's your experience with, because our exams, they're all, the first part of them are multiple choice. And I would say those are the hardest exams that these guys had to take in this type of exam, in this process. So what's your experience on multiple choice exams?
Well, my first situation is when I will speak for audiences, I'll memorize 200 names in the audience. And when I get up on stage, I'll say, stand up if I met you. 200 people will stand up, and I'll point to them. And I'll say, Bob is your name. Steve is your name. Lisa is your name. Karen. And when I say their name, they sit down. Well, if I'm going along and I say, Bob, you can sit down. Tim, you can sit down. Lisa, you can sit down. Brian, you can sit down. Karen, you can sit down. And then I get to somebody I don't know their name. The absolute worst thing I can do at that moment is stop my momentum, stare at them, and try to figure out their name. That's not what I do. What I do is I'll say, Bob, you can sit down. Brian, you can sit down. Karen, you can sit down. Steve, you can sit down. I don't know your name. Stay standing. I'm going to come back to you. Lisa, you can sit down. Frank, you can sit down. George, you can sit down. Gary, you can sit down. And this is very important. I say everybody that I know their name, and then I come back to the 4 or 5 that are still standing. Why would I do that? Because if I stand there and I try to focus on the people I don't know their name, my brain is going to get stressed out. My brain is going to lock up. I want to keep my brain relaxed. When taking a test, multiple choice, whatever, I'd recommend you go through and you answer all the questions you don't know. Put a check mark or a star by the ones you're skipping that you don't know, because if you don't do that, then you might not ever, when you go back, you might miss them. But make a note somehow to yourself that you're skipping this question, but make a note. because you don't want to leave it blank.
Right.
Skip it and go through and answer. And that does two things. Number one, it keeps you relaxed. And that's really what you want to do. Number two, stress is the worst enemy to your brain when you're taking a test. Your body will produce cortisol. Cortisol's terrible for trying to take a test with cortisol going through your body, stress. Number two, you might skip it. And then guess what? 10 questions later, there's going to be a question that's going to have a hint in it that gives you the answer to that. So you go back, now you can answer it. So
that's so true.
That's tip number one. And tip number two is you never want to use guessing as a strategy on a test. Okay. I'm not suggesting that you use guessing as a strategy, but I will say this: 52% of the time, according to studies, if there is an option that says all of the above or none of the above, first of all, make sure that you know it. I mean, or try to see if you know the answer. But if you don't know the answer and you're going to resort to guessing anyways, 52% of the time, if there's an option that says all of the above or none of the above, 52% of the time you're going to be right if you select that. Which is saying a lot, because let's say it's an A, B, C, D, or E. All things being equal, each option should be 20%, right?
Right.
But if the last one is all of the above, it's no longer 20%, it's 52% likely. So don't guess. I'm not advocating guessing as a strategy, but if you're guessing anyway, and again, I'm not advocating guessing as a strategy. However, oftentimes the longer answer is the correct answer. And the reason for that is the test takers have to be more accurate when they're making that right answer the right answer. So they're more
right.
In, the option C is more detailed because it is correct. So sometimes the longer answer is the right answer. And I'm not advocating guessing. I'm just giving you some statistics that are true. And last point on this, when there are 4 choices, B is more commonly selected. And when there are 5 choices, E is more commonly selected. Not much, by just like 1 or 2% more. But if you're guessing, you're guessing. So
yeah.
Well, that's my strategy, multiple choice.
Okay. So let's say that somebody's been studying hard, and because they want to minimize enough. We've had students even like break down and cry because there's so much anxiety because they're they want to get it right, and in a kind of a way, it's kind of pushed them to really not fail. They study so much because they're afraid of failure. But let's say if I could help that individual out, calm down. What are some of your strategies to, if once you're building out that anxiety, the stress, like you were talking about, how do you calm down? How would you teach somebody to come down from that stress?
I teach people, just to take deep breaths. A lot of times people will take deep breaths, calm themselves down, get enough sleep. You've heard it said that you need to get enough sleep the night before a test. That's true. But did you know that if you learn something today, if we learn something on this Zoom and then we get enough sleep tonight, we will wake up tomorrow knowing it better than if we didn't get enough sleep. Lack of sleep produces stress and anxiety. And lack of preparation produces stress and anxiety, but it's also tricks of the brain. We tell ourselves, if I don't ace this test, my life is going to end. If I don't ace this test, my girlfriend's going to break up with me. Your girlfriend's probably not going to break up with you. We feed ourselves all of this stuff. So just calm yourself down a little bit and say, is your life really going to end? Okay, my life is probably not going to end. I had a student tell me, if I don't pass the bar exam, my life is going to end. It's going to be over. Nothing's going to be worthwhile. Whatever. I got to do this. And well, guess what? She failed the bar exam, and she's still alive. So her life is fine. Yeah. So I'm not telling anybody that you should fail or do bad, but I'm just saying, take a step back, take a couple deep breaths. Don't put more pressure and anxiety. Don't create these stories in your brain. The next thing that I'll do is I'll say, break it down into chunks. Yeah. Oh my gosh, all this information. I'm never going to memorize it. Oh my gosh. It's just so much information. Let's take a deep breath. Let's calm down for a second. You don't have, when I was memorizing the Constitution, I didn't have to memorize 5,000 words in one day. All I had to do was 50 words today. The next day, all I had to do was 50 words. I told myself, you just got to do 50 words today. You don't have to do 5,000 words today. Break it down into chunks, make it more manageable, and manage your stress.
Okay. Yeah, the taking deep breaths does. It's crazy. They think it's some kind of foo-foo stuff, but it's super important, especially starting off your day, taking deep breaths, doing those yoga exercises, getting prepared for that. Say going to battle with that computer and that exam and stuff like that. It's a huge night and day difference in my experience. Let's see. I know we're coming up. I know I promised to do 30 minutes, and I know you got stuff to do, but let's see. Diet. A lot of these guys, they take a lot of like energy drinks, Red Bulls, Monsters, or coffee and stuff like that. But if you want to have a healthy brain and just having a healthy brain, what are some of your superfoods for keeping your brain healthy?
You know what? One of the good nutrition and exercise really is important to your brain and your memory. And I'm going to tell my coaching student, 1 second here. I'm telling him good nutrition and exercise really is super, super important when it comes to memory and improving your memory. One thing that this look right here, it looks like this right here, it looks like hey, David, I'm talking to somebody else. I brought you on this call. I apologize. Okay, just hang with me for 1 second. This right here, water, drinking plenty of water is crucial for your brain and memory. Every morning I take an omega-3 pill. Every morning I take an omega-3 pill. Omega-3s are great for your memory. Every morning I take a multivitamin. That's beneficial to your memory. Every day I'm drinking plenty of water. A dehydrated brain can't focus. Your brain requires 45 nutrients. A lot of those it produces itself, but a lot of those it gets from your diet. Help your brain out with your good nutrition and exercise. Go for walks, maintain a healthy body weight, get that blood flowing, drink plenty of water. A dehydrated brain can't focus. Every day it's easy to take an omega-3 pill. Okay. Those fats are good for your brain. Every day it's good to take a multivitamin. It's got things like vitamin E and zinc in it that are good for your memory. Broccoli is a great brain food. Spinach is a great brain food. Blueberries have antioxidants in them. That's a great brain food. Apples have acetylcholine in them. That is a great brain food. It also gives you a boost of energy. So I would say that one of the main things is just exercise, maintain a healthy body weight, but drink plenty of water, take a multivitamin, take omega-3 pills, and feed your brain positive foods. Because if you eat fast foods every day, your brain's not going to work at optimum strength. It's just not. Energy drinks, studies show that we need no more than 400 milligrams of caffeine a day. Take a look at the energy drink, see how many milligrams of caffeine it is, and if it's over 400, step it back a little bit.
Yeah. All right, then. I know you got somewhere to be. I appreciate it so much, Ron. And it was great seeing you again. And thank you for giving me some of your advice and tips. And hopefully we can catch up some other time.
Yeah, let's do this again. We can do another call in the next few weeks if you want. Blackbeltmemory.com. Blackbeltmemory.com is my website. I'll see you soon, Jose.
All right. Thank you.